Afternoon, Harris here with another video for the VC. I think it's 5 weeks since I did a video. It's work so mental. Is it? Apologies to anyone who doesn't work in an office, but does anyone else work with Microsoft Teams and wish it never existed? I used to speak to a bloke called Sven Gunson in our Stockholm office about twice a year. Now I speak to Sven Gunson about 48 times a week because he can just get hold of me at the job and we're talking. And the trouble is, every time I'm talking into a camera, I feel the need to start waving albums about and telling people how Too Shy by Kajagoogoo changed my life. And I'm just met by a sea of blank faces. Like, yeah, thanks, Harris, but can you give us our combined operating ratio statistics for the period Jan to Feb 2023? No, I can't. But it's a bloody nightmare. It never stops. You'll never. I can't. This is me trying to be relatable. It's a nightmare. Here it is. Let's get it out of the way. De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising came out yesterday, the 34th anniversary. How does it stack up? This is my original copy. I bought on the 22nd of March, 1989. Couple of obvious. The sleeve on the original's better, that's for certain. But there's a big difference. There's no point in talking about sound quality. This was always going to suffer. This was built. The original was built to fail because it's a 61-minute record on 1 bit of vinyl. And if you know, a side of vinyl can only handle 22 minutes of music before things just go down the Swanee dramatically. So this could only be better. It could only be better because it's 2 bits of vinyl. 2 bits of vinyl. So 15 minutes. It works quite well as a double as well. Sadly, a couple of the samples haven't got clearance this time. So you no longer have Eddie Murphy's. Has anyone in the audience ever been hit by a car? Which I kind of missed. I was waiting for it. I'm like, here it comes, and then it didn't come. But sound quality wise, I've got to say it's great. Yeah. I did not listen to this and think, oh god, it's a modern pressing, which is a good sign. It's solid. 9 out of 10. I reckon, look, if you ain't got this and you want it, you're not going to be disappointed with this. I've got it on the black vinyl, which I actually wanted. They had these down at the Overdraft bar and record shop about 2 minutes from my house. 24 quid. 24 quid each. That's not bad. I'll take that. But I don't know what the coloured vinyl's like. But yeah, if you want this record, I've got to be honest, I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking, did I really need to buy it? Because it's so locked into my youth, this. I mean, it's almost like part of my DNA, this album. And I am thinking, did I really need to buy it? It's not often I think that, but yeah. So De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising, 61-minute record. Don't put it on 1 bit of vinyl. I was thinking along with it. Apparently, Def Leppard's Hysteria was 62 minutes, and that was on 1 bit of vinyl. And I remember listening to that and thinking it was going on for eternity. So yeah, Def Leppard fans, don't forget to like and subscribe. More Def Leppard content on the way. If your drummer loses an arm and you get better, then you know there's probably something amiss. Next up, we're going with the 12s. I've got nicely on this. Depeche Mode, Welding My Eyes, Happiest Girl, Sea of Sin, 12-inch, slightly different version of Welding My Eyes. The other 2 songs are fantastic. A lot of people say, oh, they should have been put on Violator. I'm not sure about that. I mean, they are decent songs, but yeah, I'm not sure if they were quite as good. They're good songs, but whether they should have been on Violator, I don't know. But, you know, sounds great on a 12, this. Beautiful. Another 12. Got this from Barry at Boohoo. It's on the wall. Beautiful. The Boy with the Thorn in His Side, The Smiths. Truman Capote on the sleeve. Beautiful sleeve. Joe Slee's sleeves, beautiful. Always want this one. It's a nice one, this, because it's got the B-side of, and all the Smiths B-sides are incredible, Rubber Ring and Asleep. And it's really beautiful because it's the only place you can get it where they segue the Rubber Ring into Asleep. So Rubber Ring finishes with that. I always used to find quite terrifying when I was little. The sort of German psychologist or psychoanalysis. You are sleeping. You do not want to believe. You are sleeping. And then it sort of segues into that ding, 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 ding of sleep. Just works really well. It really does work beautifully. And yeah, fantastic. Fantastic that. I'm really pleased to get it. It's in a bit of a manky condition actually, so it's fairly cheap. Can't normally find Smiths 12 inches now under about 18, 20 quid. But yeah, I got this one for a bit of a song. But yeah, it needs a clean up. Next up, this is a weird one. Got this from the record fair. Always wanted Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. But what's this? Odyssey and Odyssey by the Zombies? What's going on with the sleeve? It's like something from Dungeons and Dragons or Lord of the Rings. What's the score? I think it's a 1980 repress, but yeah. So I was quite. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons with my mates. I always hated it. I used to go round to people's houses because they'd be like, "Yes, we're pulling an all-nighter, Dungeons and Dragons. You are brilliant." And then within about 11 minutes, it would be like, "Harris, you've been killed by an orc with a charmed long staff." I'd be like, "Have I? Yeah. How did that happen?" Like, they just seem to decide and be like, "Well, what do I do now?" They went, "Well, you're dead." I'm like, "Well, there's 8 hours to go," and they'd be like, "Yes, there is." So, any clues how I got into the Smiths? But yeah, quite pleased. It's a lot cheaper than the other versions. You can get it with this wacky sleeve. I've got to say, kind of like it, but can I be controversial? I think I prefer, and I've had this for about a year now, the second album by the Bee Gees called First, which is kind of in the same territory. I've got to say, I think this is better. For a start, it's got To Love Somebody, which is, I think, one of the greatest songs ever. It's got a fantastic song here called Please Read Me, which Nina Simone does a great version of, but I think it's a fantastic album, and I actually prefer it to Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. And this was £5, and this was, I think I paid 20 quid for this, but yeah, they're both brilliant, by the way, but yeah, I think I prefer the Bee Gees. Next up, and this seems to be like the album of the month on the VC. I suppose that happens, but I suppose it is logical because someone will show an album, there's a load of other people will watch it and they go out and buy it, and that's what happened to me. And it's I saw the chap, Big Star 1000 show it. I've forgotten the chap's name. He's a French chap lives in Australia. Brilliant channel. And he showed this Talk, The Colour of Spring, and I've always known of it, but I never thought about buying it. Because I really don't like the later stuff of Talk. I know you're meant to say you love that, but I just don't like it. It's just I just don't like it. This is the perfect meeting point of their early pop stuff and their sort of later, slightly more avant-garde, but not really avant-garde. And this is great. I mean, it's got Life's What You Make It on it, which is just a superb song. I Don't Believe in You. Give It Up is my favourite. Love it. Yeah, and I bought this at, where did I buy this? In Bitton. Bought this in Bitton a couple of weeks ago. The Mercantile Flea. Reggie's Retro's got a shop in there. And yeah, pleased to get this. Again, needs a bit of a clean. It was slightly cheap, so again, I'm taking a punt on these. But really enjoying this. And I'm glad it's been mentioned a couple of times in the last month on the VC. Next up, another 12. Really, really pleased to get this. Really. Now, you might say, Harris, why are you buying Chris Rea 12-inch singles? Let's Dance. I'll tell you why. Don't give a stuff about Chris Rea particularly. And it's the B-side. It's always the B-sides with these 12 inches. In the mid-80s, in Ibiza, there was a guy called Armando who started playing house music in Ibiza, San Antonio. And he didn't have enough house records, so he started playing normal bands records that would sort of soundtrack the sunset going over Ibiza, and it became known as Balearic House. And a load of English hooligans, football hooligans essentially, went over there and started going to his club and really getting off on it and brought it back and that's how house music, in a way, this is a short story, ended up in the UK, and how dance music became the biggest thing in the UK in the 90s, you could argue. And one of the records he played was Chris Rea's Josephine, the French edit, which is absolutely beautiful. It's on the B-side of this. It's like, it starts off sounding a bit like Chic, this sort of light funk guitar. Then it's got this beautiful chord progression, which is a bit, if anyone knows Frankie Knuckles' Tears, a bit like that. And then it's got Chris Rea singing over it. And it's just a beautiful Balearic chugger. It's Josephine, the French re-record, or the French edit, and it is just beautiful. It's one of the most lovely songs, and it's a real Balearic masterpiece. And even if I'm staring out my window here in Shirley watching the Meth Tweakers, if I put this on, it sounds wonderful. And so really pleased to find Josephine, the French edit by Chris Rea. And it's the sort of thing, I mean, I've got I'm starting to get a little collection of what's known as Balearic stuff, though. Things like Moments in Love by Art of Noise, Carly Simon's Why, Crockett's Theme by Jan Hammer, It's Immaterial, Driving Away from Home, all these sort of 12 inches that I think his name was Amando in Ibiza. He used to play these in the mid-80s because he didn't have enough proper dance records, and they're just wonderful. I love sort of Balearic tunes. John the 16th pianist did a video recently of sort of hidden gems on albums, and he brought one out which is Cool Cat by Queen off the Hot Space album. That's an absolute Balearic classic, Cool Cat. I love that. I wish that came out on a 12, but I might even have to buy Hot Space by Queen. But yeah, so I'm really pleased to get that Criteria track. And a redemption story. You may remember recently I had my Huskadoo New Day Rising, and I managed to whack a hole in it. And I thought, I'm never going to get another version of this. It's the almost impossible to find UK pressing. I was at the record fair last week, went up to a stall, boom, there it is, almost in mint condition. And it's the London pressing. I can't believe it. I just looked at the bloke going, I don't believe you've got this. Like, you never see these, and you rarely see these at all. But yeah, really chuffed to find it. So yeah, a bit of karma, I think. I'm doing some good deeds recently, so maybe it's a little bit of karma, but vinyl karma. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's my recent finds. Hope everyone's all right. Hopefully I'll have a video a little bit quicker. And if Sven Gunson's out there, stop messaging me, mate, please. I've had enough. Take care, everyone.